So prayer is not just for one kind of moment, it's for every season of life. There will be seasons of joy where our prayers are going to be full of gratitude. There will be seasons of uncertainty where our prayers are going to be full of questions. There will be seasons of difficulty where it's going to be even difficult to pray, or we're facing quietness where it's silent on God's end, silent on our end. We don't know what to pray for, even how to get us out of the rock bottom we find ourselves in. But one thing remains true. The Holy Spirit remains present through all of these seasons of life, whether they are joyful or difficult or uncertain. He's always helping, he's always guiding, he's always strengthening. That's his job. And praying in the Spirit just becomes one of the ways we stay connected to God through all the seasons of life. Not just when things are clear, but especially when they are not. And this is what makes praying in the Spirit part of our walk with God. It'll grow you and support you. It'll give you the words you don't know what to pray for. And it'll always remain with you because God remains with you, no matter what season you're walking in. But how do you pray in difficult seasons? Because our prayer life is not going to be the same in every season. There are seasons where we feel strong and confident and have clear direction. And then there are seasons where things feel quiet and slow and uncertain. And we feel like we're shuffling one baby step at a time with whatever limited light we have illuminating our path. And this can include our prayer life. There are times when praying in the Spirit feels easy and natural and flowing. There will be times where you have to be very intentional with it because it's not as easy and flowing, but you're still cooperating and participating. And then there'll be times where it completely stops. And I want you to know that this is natural. You can stop praying in the Spirit and, you don't lose the gift. When God gives a gift, he doesn't take it back. It's for all time. So it may just be a season of quietness and stillness. Just trust that you can and will start praying in the tongues again if you want, in a new season, if you're in a quiet season. So just remember that your relationship with God is not based on a feeling or a moment. It's a journey, and it's going to change through the seasons. Some seasons build strength in us. Some seasons build endurance. And there are some seasons that build deeper trust. And I think no matter where you are in your life, if you're praying in the Spirit, you're building trust with the Lord. That's one of the things that just improves naturally, faith and trust, because you're constantly handing over and trusting the Spirit, His Spirit, to pray for you on your behalf. And groanings too deep for words and words that you don't understand. So just trust that you're going to be growing, and seasons will change. And if you're in a hard season right now, it will end, it will change. You'll be in a different season in God's timing. But how do you pray in the Spirit during hard times? There are seasons in life that'll feel too heavy. There'll be moments where, life feels unclear, difficult, it's overwhelming. I've been through that recently. And in these moments, prayer can feel very hard. You may not know what to say. You're maybe too tired, too discouraged, too fearful, just because of what you're going through. Your trust and your faith and your belief in God is definitely being stretched and questioned. But this is where praying in the Spirit can become especially helpful, because it allows you to continue prayer when you don't know the words, when your own words are limited and your feelings are limited, and you're on the negative side of the emotional spectrum, because discouragement doesn't feel fun, and you may not enjoy talking to God when you don't see any kind of results of your prayer. So just trust that you can still stay connected through praying in tongues, because that connection is what matters. It's the trust, the faith. It's just keeping your focus on God and knowing He has your best interests at heart. He's working all things out for your good, no matter what you're going through. And holding on to that can be difficult through difficult times, I know. But praying in the Spirit, if you give over to that, it'll break the barrier of not knowing what to pray for, or when you're too emotionally done to pray. And then there'll be times where you're in a spiritual battle. It's not just a hard time, but you're actually going through spiritual warfare. These struggles are deeper than surface level. And whether it feels like a spiritual battle or it actually is one, it doesn't matter. You can still pray in the Spirit. The Bible talks about this in Ephesians 6. Paul describes the armor of God, but then he says, praying at all times in the Spirit. Prayer is part of how believers stand firm against the enemy. Praying in the Spirit is essential. It keeps you connected to God in those moments of pressure and distraction and opposition. It'll keep your focus steady on God. It'll keep your heart aligned to Him. It'll remind you that you're not relying on your own strength. God fights your battles for you too. Don't forget that. You are dependent on God. This is not about striving. You're not responsible for, leading an army against, the kingdom of darkness. You're responsible for maintaining a connection, for abiding in Jesus, and receiving instruction from that. So just pray in the Spirit. If you feel like you're going through spiritual warfare, trust that His authority, His power will flow through you, and you can get through the situation a little bit differently. And what I'd say is better, quote unquote better, it's all subjective, but you'll get through it differently than without praying in the Spirit. Just know that you have that access to Him at all times. And then lastly, you may just be too weak to pray. There are moments in life where our spiritual life will feel strong, and then there'll be times where it's very weak. And that's a very normal part of our Christian walk. You can feel distracted and tired and discouraged and disconnected, but you don't have to wait to feel stronger, better, more connected, more mature. We just simply turn back to God, return. You can pray even when you feel weak. That's especially true in the Spirit because it removes pressure to come up with the right words. You know that He hasn't moved away from you. The Holy Spirit doesn't leave you. He's still present. Even if you feel like you've messed up, you're too weak, He doesn't feel that about you. He doesn't see that way. He sees Jesus in you. So if you feel too weak, just return to prayer. Spiritual strength is not just built in a moment. It's consistent. You have to keep returning to God. Every time you feel discouraged, weak, unsure, uncertain, not enough for God, that is the most important part in the time to actually go back to Him, to return to Him. As in the prodigal son, we know the story. The father embraced the son with open arms every time he came back, when he came back. And that's true for us. Every time we return to God, even in prayer, He's welcoming us with open arms. So even if you feel too weak to pray, still pray, because you're not too weak for Him. Trust in His strength and His peace, and He will get you through it. But as we are focused on ourselves and getting through our own times, in the next video, I want to share how to pray for others in tongues, because that's certainly a gift everyone has access to. Because if you want to pray for yourself, you don't know what to pray, handing it over to Him. You can pray for your family, your friends, spouse, the world in general. Even if you don't know what the words, you can trust Him to pray on your behalf in regards to intercessory prayer. So I'll see you in the next episode to explore that topic.